I was holding the engagement ring in my palm, watching the diamond catch the afternoon light, thinking about the life I was building with Shelby. 3 years together. She was the woman I believed I would grow old with. We had plans for the wedding, for the house, for the children we would raise. Everything felt certain. Everything felt right. But there were signs I ignored, warnings I pushed aside, until she spoke 2 words that shattered everything I thought I knew about love and loyalty. Before we dive into this story, let me know where you are watching from today. Drop your location in the comments below. If stories about betrayal, family, and finding your way back from the darkness resonate with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Trust me, what happened next is something I never saw coming, and I think you will want to hear how it all unfolded. I met Shelby at a mutual friend's birthday party about 3 years ago. The moment she walked into that backyard gathering, something shifted in my chest. She had this way of lighting up a room without trying, this natural warmth that drew people toward her. We ended up talking by the drink table for 2 hours straight, ignoring everyone else at the party. By the end of the night, I had her number saved in my phone, and I already knew she was different from anyone I had ever met. Those first few months of dating felt like a dream I did not want to wake up from. We went hiking on weekends, discovered little coffee shops tucked away in neighborhoods neither of us had explored before. She would come over to my apartment and we would cook dinner together, making a mess of the kitchen while laughing about nothing in particular. Our conversations stretched deep into the night, covering everything from childhood memories to fears about the future. I had never felt so understood by another person. When I introduced Shelby to my family, I was nervous. My father, Marcus, is a former military man, tough exterior, not quick to warm up to strangers. My mother, Linda, is gentler but fiercely protective of her sons. My younger brother, Derek, looked up to me, and I wanted him to approve of the woman I was falling for. To my relief, Shelby charmed them all. Within a few visits, she was helping my mother prepare holiday meals in the kitchen, sitting on the porch, listening to my father tell stories about his service days. She fit into my world like she had always belonged there. After 2.5 years together, I knew it was time. I bought a diamond ring, spending more than I probably should have. But she was worth it. I planned to propose at the same restaurant where we had our first official date. I imagined her face when I got down on one knee. I imagined our wedding day, our first home together, the children we would have. Everything seemed to be falling into place. But around 6 months before the wedding date we had set, something started to shift. At first the changes were small enough that I could explain them away. Shelby began working late more often, coming home tired and distant. When I asked about her day, her answers were short, vague. She said the company was going through restructuring, that everyone was under pressure. I believed her because I wanted to believe her. Then there were the moments with her phone. She started keeping it face down on every surface, something she had never done before. When it buzzed with messages, she would glance at the screen quickly, then put it away without responding. A few times, she excused herself to take calls in the other room, speaking in low tones I could not make out. When I asked who she was talking to, she said it was her mother or her best friend, discussing wedding details. One night I woke up around 2 in the morning and reached for her only to find her side of the bed empty. I found her sitting in the living room, the glow of her phone illuminating her face. She was smiling at whatever she was reading, a particular kind of smile I had not seen directed at me in weeks. When she noticed me standing there, she quickly locked the screen. "Just texting my friend about bridesmaid dresses," she said. I nodded and went back to bed, but sleep did not come easily. I told myself I was being paranoid, that wedding stress was making me see problems where none existed. We had built something real together. Shelby would never betray that. Then came the evening that changed everything, at least in the way I understood our future. Shelby came home from work with an expression I could not read. She looked nervous and excited and scared all at once. She handed me a small object, and when I looked down I saw it was a pregnancy test. 2 lines. Positive. For a moment I forgot all my doubts. I swept her into my arms, lifting her off the ground, laughing with a joy I had not expected to feel. A baby. We were going to have a baby. I was going to be a father. All those vague anxieties seemed to evaporate in the face of this news. I called my parents that same night. My mother cried happy tears through the phone. My father congratulated me, his voice carrying a warmth I rarely heard from him. My brother Derek sent a string of excited messages. It felt like everything was coming together even better than I had planned. But as the initial excitement faded, I noticed that Shelby did not seem as happy as I expected. She smiled when I talked about the baby, but the smile did not reach her eyes. She avoided meeting my gaze when I discussed nursery colors or baby names. That night, I heard her crying in the bathroom. When I knocked on the door and asked if she was okay, she said it was just hormones, just the pregnancy making her emotional. I wanted to believe her, but a thought kept nagging at the back of my mind, something I did not want to acknowledge. We had been careful. We had been using protection consistently. The pregnancy was unexpected, more than unexpected. It seemed almost impossible. I pushed the thought away. No method is perfect, I told myself. These things happen. The woman I loved was carrying our child, and I needed to focus on being the best partner and future father I could be. I bought books about pregnancy and parenting. I started clearing out the spare room to convert into a nursery. I threw myself into preparations, trying to outrun the whisper of doubt that would not quite disappear. About a month after we learned about the pregnancy, I was sent out of town for a work project. It was supposed to be a 4-day trip, but we finished early and I caught a flight home a day ahead of schedule. I wanted to surprise Shelby. I thought I would stop by the florist on the way home from the airport, pick up her favorite flowers, maybe take her out to dinner to celebrate my early return. The florist was on a corner across from a small cafe with outdoor seating. As I waited for my order to be wrapped, I glanced out the window at the cafe, and my heart stopped. Shelby was sitting at one of the outdoor tables. Across from her was a man I recognized from old photos she had shown me once. Travis, her ex-boyfriend from before we met. She had told me they ended things 4 years ago, that it had been a clean break, that they had not spoken since. Yet there they were, sitting close enough that their knees must have been touching under the table. His hand was wrapped around hers. She was laughing at something he said, a bright, unguarded laugh that made my stomach turn. I stood frozen in the florist's shop, unable to move, unable to breathe. The woman behind the counter asked if I was all right, and I could not form words to answer her. I watched Shelby lean in closer to Travis, watched him brush a strand of hair from her face with a familiarity that made bile rise in my throat. I did not confront them. I could not. My legs carried me out of the shop and to my car, moving on autopilot, while my mind struggled to process what I had seen. I drove home in a daze, sat in the parking lot of our apartment building, and tried to figure out what to do next. That night I waited for Shelby to come home. She walked through the door around 7, looking relaxed, happy even. I asked her how her day had been. She said she had been at work meetings all afternoon, nothing exciting. The lie came so easily to her that I almost doubted what I had seen with my own eyes. So I asked her directly. I said I had gotten home early. I asked who she had seen today, giving her one chance to tell me the truth. She looked at me for a long moment, and I watched something shift behind her eyes. Then her face crumpled, and she began to cry. What followed was the most painful conversation of my life. Between sobs, Shelby admitted that she had reconnected with Travis 7 months ago. They had run into each other at a coffee shop, started talking, and one thing led to another. She had been sleeping with him throughout the past several months of our engagement. But that was not the worst of it. The baby, she told me, was not mine. It was his. I felt like someone had reached into my chest and ripped out everything vital. I could not speak. I could barely stand. Shelby kept talking, her words washing over me in waves I could hardly process. Travis was married now, she explained. He had a wife who did not know about the affair, and he had made it clear that he would not leave her. He did not want the baby. He wanted nothing to do with it. Shelby had decided that the easiest solution was to let me believe the child was mine. We would get married, raise the baby together, and no one would ever need to know the truth. She said she had convinced herself it was better for everyone this way. Better for her, better for the baby, better for me. I finally found my voice and asked her if she had ever planned to tell me, or if I would have spent my entire life raising another man's child believing it was my own. She could not answer. While we argued, her phone buzzed with a notification. I saw the preview flash across the screen before she could hide it. It was a message from Travis, discussing lawyers and child support, strategizing about how to keep his name off any legal documents. Another message from her friend referenced research Shelby had done about paternity laws, explaining that if my name went on the birth certificate, I could be held financially responsible even after a divorce. The betrayal was not just emotional. It was calculated. She had been planning to trap me into legal and financial responsibility for a child that was not mine, conceived through an affair she had hidden for months. I told her she needed to leave. Right then. That night. She begged. She pleaded. She promised she would never see Travis again, that we could still make this work, that she loved me. But the words sounded hollow performances from someone I realized I had never truly known. Shelby packed a bag and walked out the door just past midnight. I sat alone in the apartment that had been ours, staring at the engagement ring sitting on the kitchen counter where she had left it. I thought I had reached the bottom of my pain. I had no idea how much further I still had to fall. 3 days passed in a haze of sleeplessness and grief. I had not told anyone what happened yet. I was still trying to find the words to explain that my entire future had been built on lies.